Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute has the honor of hosting the annual Sheth Lecture on Social Entrepreneurship, which was established in 2019 through an endowment by Dr. Sheth and his wife Madhu Sheth. As a result of the Chef's generosity, each year we have the opportunity to invite a distinguished social innovator or entrepreneur to deliver a speech and create a forum for sharing ideas and practices of social entrepreneurship and innovation.
The purpose of a nation is to unlock the potential of its people. And there are two mechanisms with which a nation is unlocking the potential. One is education, but the other one, equally important, is entrepreneurship. In fact, the real competitive advantage of a nation is entrepreneurship more than land, labor, and capital. It is older than capitalism as a concept. And in fact, Adam Smith, the father of modern capitalism, brought that as a fourth factor to unlock the potential of land, labor, and capital.
You've often said in explaining Grameen Bank's model that you looked at traditional banks and did just the opposite. And that's such a great way to understand Grameen Bank. So let's start there. Could you elaborate on that comparison?
One common question kept coming to me every time people want to know what Grameen Bank is all about. The question is, how did you design it? It's a very intricate design that you have done. You must have done lots of research behind it to come up with those intricate designs to make it happen. And I look back, did I do any research? Oh no, I never did any research. I just reacted on any occasion that came to my attention that I have to solve that problem, because if you set up the system, you need lots of rules, procedures, and so on, everybody can understand. So I had to do that. And I never had taken any course in banking at all. So I don't know anything about banking as such, except from the outside, what banking is all about. So I didn't know how to start the whole procedure. So whenever I needed a procedure, I tried to explain to people that whenever I needed a procedure, I look at the conventional banks that I see around me, how they do it. After all, they've been in the business of lending money, so there must have some procedures there. So I looked at them. When I learned how to do it, I just do the opposite. And that's how I got to get to Grameen Bank. This is piece by piece is a kind of opposite construct. They go to the rich to begin with. I go to the poor. There's a first departure I make. They go to men. I go to women. See, again, another departure. They go to the city center. You'll always see big banks always have the biggest branch, biggest office at the city center. That's to become known as the business district and all that kind of thing. This go to the city center, I go to the remote village. And I make sure I never come back to the city at all. So even after 45 years of our work, today we have, within Grameen Bank in Bangladesh, we have more than 3,000 branches. Not a single branch yet in any city, any town of Bangladesh. We insisted it so much that we always work in the rural areas. And we do, in the remotest place you can think. So they go to the city center, we start with the remotest village. This is opposite again. Then they ask for collateral. We dismissed it right away. We don't need any collateral. I said collateral is a wall. It's a Chinese wall that divides people away, that you cannot cross that wall. So on the other side of the world, they have all the services available. The lucky ones are on the other side. This side of the world, you don't get anything. I said, we must demolish this wall before we can get anything to the poor people in a banking way. So we demolished that completely. There is no question of any kind of collateral, any kind of introduction, any kind of notification from anybody taking responsibility of the board, nothing of that sort. Just as free as a human being, that you am a human being, that's good enough introduction to us. Nothing else is needed for us. We know as a human being is good enough. So we demolished that. Since we demolished that, we demolished the whole idea of having the lawyers in the system. And I kept repeating that we are the only bank in the world which is lawyer-free. You will not see any single bank in the world which is not totally dependent on lawyers. Their papers, their recommendations, their justifications, and so on and so forth. We are the only bank which has nothing to do with lawyers. Since we don't have any documents, anything, we are not relying on any documents. So how do you do that? If you have no documents, you don't have the identity or anything, how do you interact with people? This is a common question kept coming to us. I said, well, see, the bank, the bank, the service they give became known as credit. And credit means trust. They took the word trust and built the whole institution on distrust. So we went back to the origin. We took credit as the trust and we built an institution on trust. So everything works on trust. So everything is, and it works. People say, this is a fancy thing. It can happen for a while, but it will collapse. Today, 45 years later, it's a global phenomenon. It works everywhere. We run Grameen Bank in the United States. We call it Grameen America. Started in 2008 in Jackson Heights, New York. Our biggest branch right now is in Charlotte, North Carolina, not far from Atlanta. And we have 15 cities where we work, big cities in the USA, and with 25 branches all over the country. We lend out to 240,000 borrowers, 100% women, loans starting at $500 and so on. And given out for the first 10 years, we reached about $1 billion in loan, first 10 years. Then we are coming at the stage right now, and we give $500 million a year. And the next year or year to the next, we'll be giving out $1 billion a year. And repayment, near 100%. No collateral, nothing. Most of them are undocumented people, the people that we give money to. It's not only, we don't ask for documentation for the loan itself, they themselves, they don't have any identity, no documents. And nobody will go anywhere near them to do any business, giving out $1 billion in loans and those. They pay back. So this is what I tried to explain, that if you want to reach out to people that you missed out in the institution that you built, the first thing to do is to reverse it. Then you get to it, because the rules and laws deprived everybody else. Today, the main cause of all the problems that we created around us is a wrong design of the banking system. And I'll stop here.
That's really fantastic. It's so inspiring. And you really sort of fostered a change in a fundamental institution of commerce, that is bank. And you make it sound so easy, but just taking a step. Well, taking a step back and thinking about how others can learn from it, what are some of the basic principles at a more abstract level that you just kept in mind, or that you've extracted from your efforts over time? And as you've seen this effort replicated around the world, and have you changed some of those principles as you saw intended and maybe sometimes unintended consequences of microfinance? So what are those principles, and how has your thinking changed, if at all?
In brief, I already gave you the basic principles. Reverse the system. So I reverse the system, and we cling to that. We stay on that. We don't compromise it. No, let's have some kind of identification, some kind of collateral, we never do that. We said no collateral, absolutely, it's a finish. So the question of immigrant population who have no papers, how do you touch them? We see them as a human being, that's all. We don't care whether they have some paper of this kind or some paper of that kind. Paper is not what we're dealing with. We're dealing with human being. So we still base the whole system on individual human being. And then we have those weekly meetings, and we have that 5-member groups, weekly repayment, all those things that we develop, so that very close contact is made with them. Human contact is very important. You said, have you changed anything? One major change has happened because of the pandemic. During the first part of the pandemic, and the US was very hard. And one of the hard hit people are the people at the bottom. In the first 6 months, we lost 52 of our borrowers because of Corona. They died. And many of the family members died. These are the 52 our own borrowers, besides the family members who died. And interactions became impossible to come together, the center meeting, interact with each other, collection of money there, and then bring it back. All the normal rules that we had in the past, always that this is the Grameen system, this is how we function, couldn't work. it's almost in a collapse stage. People cannot interact with each other. They cannot have business going on. Like any pandemic, as you heard about the pandemic, but these are the hard-hit people. You heard the question during the pandemic, life versus livelihood. These are the people. They're struggling between the life and the livelihood. Which one to protect? Do you protect the life or you protect the livelihood? Where do we go? So this is where we are. Then gradually we have to overcome this situation, help them. We came close to them. And gradually what we did, quickly I will go, undid everything that we did before, like this close connections and so on. We switched to virtual. Center meeting, weekly meeting, yes, but virtual meeting. Just like we are doing that, some of them in the center meeting, they are talking from their kitchen, some of them are participating from their car, some of them in their shops, and so on. But the center meeting is held very formally, talking to each other, and so we see each other on the screen, talk to each other, have fun, and so on. Staff doesn't come to the center meeting because he's also on the other side of the Zoom meeting, talking to them. And so, how do you exchange money? How do you give the money? Everything is digitalized. So it's all digital money exchange. No real money is exchanged. So everything is digitalized, everything is virtual. So the question came, should we now need so many staff to go there, which we did before? We said, well, we don't need that stuff. During the pandemic, we opened a new branch. Daring thing to do. We were worrying about the old branches, now we opened a new branch. And the most difficult area, this was in Chicago. So we had our branch, 25th branch, open in Chicago, virtually. All the borrowers, for the first time we were meeting, we have not met them physically. We met them only on the screen. So it's not only the question of documents and so on, now the basic thing, physical thing disappeared. Now it's a virtual thing. You can do anything you want in the virtual world, but we lend money, hundreds of thousands of dollars every day. We lend out and they pay us back and offer it all virtual. So this is how we did. Now the question is going around in that board meeting, do we need any branch at all? The office itself, because office is becoming immaterial now, because you do it out of your home, wherever you are. So why do we rent a place called office? So now we are coming to a close decision that maybe we should not have any physical office. It costs money. So we'll be doing it from home because everything is provided. Now the repairment has come back to that 99% plus in this Zoom meeting. So you said, what are the changes? This is one change. It's a major change. It's a learning process for the entire world, not just for USA, because we didn't dare to do it in Bangladesh yet. Because it's possible in USA, the kind of technology that's available, we cannot exchange the money yet in this system because our system doesn't allow that. Our banking system doesn't allow that. But we could do the other virtual things possible here. So the thing that we emphasize so much, that the collateral is the thing. They have to cling around. Now we dismiss collateral. We dismiss even the physical contact with each other that we used to say that this is the core of it. Now it's all virtual, but it still works. So you can just look at the Grameen America on the website or whatever, find out what they do. It's a fantastic experience that's going on right now. Thank you.
Well, that's so fantastic and such a pivot, because I think a lot of businesses right now must be facing a similar question. And, you know, from what it sounds like, Grameen Bank is based on relationships. As you said, it's very relational. Do you think it's easy to replicate, or it's possible to replicate that relational approach in a virtual environment?
That's what it's doing in Grameen America. That's so for the last 6 months at least. This is what's happening. And now they are considering whether they should go back to the physical again at all. Do we need, that's why I was saying, do we need an office? Do we need physically people going to them, to talking to them, and so on and so forth? Since virtually they're relaxed, they're talking, wherever they are, having fun, and still doing the same thing.
Speaking of my students, you know, I teach social entrepreneurship, and you know, so I use a lot of your work. And something that really strikes me each time I read this is this phrase, social business, and you describe it as moving from money-oriented to solution-oriented. And there's just something so powerful in that simple definition. So could you share in your words, what do you mean by social business? And maybe also give us a few examples from all the social businesses that you have created around Grameen Shakti, Grameen Danone, and so on.
Well, thank you. I go to the origin of this whole idea, how it came about. It came along with Grameen Bank as we are doing. We see all the problems. If we wanted to solve the problems of the healthcare of the people, if you are poor in health. If you're a woman, all the health problems in the world is dumped on you. You don't know where to go. And you suffer yourself, and you pass it on to your children, babies, what you also get sick and so on. So we wanted to address that. We cannot just walk by and not do anything. So one after another, we created a solution to those kind of things in a business way. You see, I always try to avoid charity in my work, because one problem with charity, at least for my work, I thought charity is a wonderful thing, but it has one big limitation. Charity money goes out to people. It does a wonderful thing to people, but the money doesn't come back. So you have only one-time use of your money. I said, can I turn into a business? Business means that money that I give will come back to me. That's a trick of the whole business. That's the essence of business to me. Not money making, not this. The real thing about business is that I give the money, I produce it, I do it, and the money that I use comes back to me. So I said, why don't I use this mechanism to do this thing that I'm trying to do, so that I can use the money again and again. So I started doing business or the toilet making, with the housing, with the healthcare insurance, healthcare services, solar energy, bring the solar home system, and it became nationwide system. All we wanted to is to recover whatever it cost to do. So that became a business. And I said, well, people say, you're having so many businesses, you must be making lots of money by doing this. It's a nationwide business. I said, no, I'm not interested in making money out of my business. Then people got very shocked. Why do you do business if you don't have any interest in making money? I said, is there any law in Bangladesh? If you're in business, you must take profit out of it. Otherwise, you'll be in jail. I said, I don't think there is any. This is my decision. I don't want to take any profit. I roll back the profit into the business so that it can reach more people. So that's my fun, and I enjoy it. They said, then you are taking away the basic element of business, the incentive. Profit is the greatest incentive. If you take that incentive out, business is finished. You don't have any business left. I said, I agree partially with you that profit is an incentive, not the incentive. There are many other incentives in the world. They said, well, like what? And so I came up with the sentence, which I repeat now. I said, making money may be happiness. Making other people happy is a super happiness. So here, if business is about happiness, so I'm in the better side. I'm getting into the super happiness side. You are only chasing the happiness side. So it's an super happiness is an incentive. If you feel great about doing things, you are solving things, you are enjoying things, touching people's life. If that excitement comes, why don't you do that? That led me to think something else. I said, economists made a fundamental mistake right from the beginning. They interpreted human being as someone who's driven by self-interest. I said, that's where they went wrong completely. Human being is much bigger than that. And all the problems we created in the world today, because of that fundamental definition of human being in business, that he is driven or she is driven by self-interest. In other words, human being is a selfish being. I said, that's absolutely wrong. Human being at least is driven by self-interest partly, but collective interest mostly. We are driven by collective interest. We want to address the collective. That's why human beings survived on this planet, on solving collective interest. That's why we are here. Not everybody is trying to that's why I created tribes and so on, families, so that we collectively did solve things, not individually. And that part was completely forgotten. You are on your own. You maximize profit and it's done. It's not done. We have to solve the collective problems. So I said, all I did, I introduced this collective interest in the interpretation of human being. And I said, now the self-interest created a business, make money, maximization of profit came out of it. It's an extreme form of self-interest, maximization of profit. What I did, I created a business based on collective interest, where that business is not interested in making money for yourself. It's interested in solving problems. So I turned around the business ideas to solving problems. It's a mechanism to solve the problem with no intention of making money at all. zero dividend for that. So I define this as a social business. So you have a profit maximizing business, then you have a social business. In profit maximizing, you do the maximization of profit. In social business, you have no interest in making any personal money, your whole interest in solving problem. And that's what social business is all about. So now I explain to people, if you have interest in that, you'll do that. And we created all those businesses, solar energy and all the things that we have been to, healthcare system, eye care hospitals, healthcare centers, and many other things that we did. And then we have the joint ventures with Danone to bring the special kind, produce a special kind of yogurt to bring nutrition, because almost half the children of Bangladesh is malnourished. So we created a special kind of yogurt, put all the micronutrients which are missing in the children into the yogurt, make it very delicious, and make it very cheap so that poor people can afford it. And if a poor child eats this yogurt for over 6 to 7 months, becomes a healthy child. And he enjoys it because it's a snack he likes, his mother buys it for him, so it's cheap that he can afford it. So this is it. So I'm doing it so that I can continue with it. And to make it cheaper, what we do, and we make another trip, we make a very special kind of yogurt with a larger volume in each packets and so on, sell it in the urban elite market and charge very heavy price for that. And we cross-subsidize. We make money on this one and make it cheaper for the poor people on the other one. Very small quantity, which is needed, exactly the quantity needed for the child, and make it very cheap so that mother can afford it. So this is a social business. This is a joint venture with Danone. Danone doesn't want to make money out of it because it's a social business. We don't want to make money out of it. Whole purpose is this. So we created joint ventures one after another, a series of them with Uniqlo, with Veolia as a water company. We have joint ventures with water. Water is a big issue. So these are the social business issues that we have.